So, welcome to the Literary Escapes podcast. We are wrapping up February. We spent the month in Greece in our book club, and our book of the month this month was Taking Her to Mykonos with author Julie Sneed Womack. And we have Julie with us today. Welcome, Julie.
Thanks so much for having me.
I am so happy to have you and to talk about this book. It was so fun to take this trip through Europe and explore so much of what I saw back when I was in my 20s and to relive that.
Me too.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun.
I'm so glad.
And we'll get into all of that in just a minute. But I'm curious, um, how did you become an author?
It's been many decades in the making. I've always loved writing, always loved reading and English and creative writing since I was a kid. Um, I did theater in high school,
Oh,
which
fun.
contributed just to my dramatic way of thinking, I guess. And then
Nice.
I actually majored in screenwriting in college. And so I
Okay.
wanted to write movies. And
Very
so
cool.
my foundation is in screenwriting, which helps me a lot as a novelist because I really feel like I try to write it so you can see it. I feel like even though I'm writing a novel, I'm kind of seeing it as a movie
Yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah.
So I did screenwriting and film production and editing and all the film classes in college. Um, did some internships, and that all kind of started guiding me into film production. So I did that a little bit after college, and then suddenly I came to a crossroads, and I went back to school and became a teacher
Oh,
for first graders and preschoolers.
bless you.
And I always I always kind of had stories in my mind, nonetheless, dabbled in screenwriting. But it wasn't until I became a stay-at-home mom and I had a baby
Needed
that
something
didn't
to
talk to
do.
me. I needed a creative outlet. And that's
Yeah.
really when I dove back in. And so at that point, I was still doing the screenwriting, trying to get screenplays out there, and screenwriting just wasn't working out for me.
Okay.
So eventually, out of necessity, thought maybe I'll try writing a book. Maybe that'll be different. And so I took an idea that had been in my mind for years, and started writing my first novel, Tea with Isabel, as a novel instead of as a screenplay, as I always thought I would.
Oh,
So
okay.
worked on that for quite a while because when it's your first book, you don't know when it's, or I'll say I didn't know when it was done.
Right.
When do I stop editing? What's the finish line?
Right.
And then when I felt like, okay, I feel like this is perfect. Um, do I look for a publisher? Do I try to get self-published? And
Yeah.
I just happened to have a friend who was a fellow preschool mom, and she had self-published.
Oh,
So
cool.
she taught me everything she knew. So I feel like this has all it's all evolved
Mm-hmm.
different than I thought it would be.
Sure.
Different than I
Sure.
planned, but I love self-publishing. I love writing books. I think I'm a lot better at it than I am at writing screenplays. I think just having more room for character development and
Right.
description. I enjoy that.
Yeah. That's
And
awesome.
yeah.
So, did I guess what's different between like screenwriting and novel writing?
Mhm. Screenwriting, um, there's a lot left out because there's not room for it.
All the
You know,
internal stuff, right?
yes, there's probably a lot for the actor to interpret and develop
Right.
in the character. And there just isn't room for all of those words in a screenplay. It has to be tight. It has to be
Yeah.
very well thought out. So novels have more room for just saying a lot more
Well,
and
you're
a lot
not
more
seeing it on the
backstory.
screen and seeing facial expressions, so you have to give the reader all of that and all the
Exactly.
things that are going through their brain. That's the thing I like about books better than movies, TV shows. You get what's in their head,
Hmm.
because unless on the screen, unless they tell you or tell, you don't know what's going through their head. So
Right.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's awesome. So Tea with Isabel was your first one.
Yes. I have
And
my
so tell
books
me,
right here for visuals.
that is so pretty. I love that cover.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nice. And I was listening to another interview you did, and Isabel was your grandmother.
She was.
Yeah. And so,
Yes. So this is um I really love female relationships in my books. The theme of friendship is always there. That one of the main relationships in Tea with Isabel was Nina, the main character, and her grandma. And then
nice.
there was also friends and mother-daughter stuff and a strained relationship between her and her husband. So it's my books are definitely more character driven, focusing on relationships.
Right, right.
And it's actually set in Oklahoma, in the town that I live in.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yes. So the main character is an LA girl like myself who,
Oh,
who moved to Oklahoma for love.
that's so fun.
Yeah, like myself.
And so, were you living in Oklahoma when you wrote the book?
I wasn't. I My husband and I lived in Oklahoma like 20 years ago, and when we had our first daughter, we moved back to Southern California, where I'm from, to be near my family, to be near
Sure.
some family. We don't have any
Yeah,
family in Oklahoma. So, and like I said, I had originally thought this story would be a screenplay, and I thought it would be set in LA because
sure.
that at the time was all I knew. And when I moved back from Oklahoma and was ready to start writing this story and as a book, I realized that the missing piece of the puzzle was Oklahoma.
How interesting. And
So it was
so,
really beautiful to be able to reminisce about my time in Oklahoma while I was living in LA. And it actually prepared me to move back 9 years
so
later.
when you wrote it, you didn't have plans on moving back.
No, nope. I thought I'd live in LA forever. And
Life is curious.
it is. By the time I was self publishing and finishing up Tea with Isabel, I uploaded it to Amazon the week we moved out of our house to move back to
Wow.
Oklahoma.
That's crazy.
It
That is
was.
crazy. I love that. So, taking her to Mykonos, how did that story come to you?
Yes. Okay. So here it is, taking her to Mykonos.
That's another pretty cover.
Thank you. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, I studied abroad in college. So when you were
Nice.
talking about, yeah, your 20s, mine too. I was in Rome for 5 weeks during a summer program.
Okay.
And so my heart is in Italy. I love Italy so much. And so even though taking her to Mykonos is set in 6 countries, ending up on the island of Mykonos, um, it was really special to write several scenes in Rome.
Yeah.
And so after that program was over with, um, there were about 5 or 6 of us, girls and boys, and one of them I had known, my friend Ashley, who her
Is it the
name is a
story?
character in the book, and because she was my travel partner from when we got on the plane in LA to go to Italy for our schooling until we came home. So and then we had met some other classmates there,
Sure.
and some from Chicago that were in the same program
Oh,
and
fun.
decided to backpack together. So it was just a life altering trip that, one of the best experiences of my life. I
Yeah.
haven't been back to Europe
I
yet.
was going to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the characters, so Tea with Isabel is very much, there's a lot of me
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
character and the relationship with her grandma. Taking her to Mykonos, the characters are fabricated. Like I really,
Right.
since I put so much of myself in Tea with Isabel, I really wanted to branch out and just really create original characters.
Nice.
But the adventures that they went on in each country, I did a lot of those.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
I
river
was curious
rafting
about
and
that. Yeah.
yeah.
And so it seems like you had said Italy was your favorite. So what all countries did
Yes.
you visit when you were over there?
Okay. So we went to Paris and we went to London, Amsterdam,
Nice.
um, Austria. So yeah, we did
Were
river
these
rafting
mostly
and
like weekend?
well, we backpacked for 4 weeks. So we
Oh, wow.
did a handful of days in each country.
Okay.
Let's see, we did a few days in Munich. Um, and then we came back through Italy and did like the eastern side, Venice, and went
Right.
down and got on a boat and went to Athens. And then actually, here's a big secret. I've never been to Mykonos.
I was wondering about that. That's so
Yes,
funny. Okay.
I have been to the island of Kefalonia,
Okay.
not Mykonos. So
Okay.
yeah.
Very
And
good.
I've never been to Bruges either. So
Okay.
those are two places in the book that I haven't been to. And then I left a few out that we did go to.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So when you did the book is about these five friends, well, four friends who returned. Four of them went on a trip to Europe in their 20s, and then
Mhm. Right after their college graduation.
four of them, they went
Mhm.
back.
Yes.
And one of the friends has passed away, and another one of the group is able to make it this time.
Mhm.
Um, have you wondered, like, what would it be like to go back and hang with
Absolutely.
these people? And is that kind of
Well, not necessarily the same group of people I went with. When I started writing this book, I mean, I knew I wanted to write about Europe and these adventures, but I started to think, what would it look like to go back in your 40s instead
right?
of your 20s? And there can be a lot of comedy in that,
Yeah,
trying to do things that you did in your 20s versus your 40s. And I knew that I wanted it to be deeper than just a fun backpacking trip.
right, right,
I wanted the women to be going through, each be going through something in their life. Um, and I wanted them all to kind of come out differently on the other side,
right.
have character arcs and have these struggles and they're also dealing with their own individual kind of midlife crises, but also with a dear
Would agree.
friend's death.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. That was one of the notes that I took of, as someone who has lost several people throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
I resonated with the fact that each character had her own way of grieving,
Mm-hmm.
because that does tend to be how it works.
Right.
And it's when you're in it and somebody's not
Mm-hmm.
grieving like you, it's like
Mm-hmm.
they're not grieving right. Sometimes
Right.
it feels like that. And so I saw pieces of my community and how we grieve, how we have grieved. I saw a lot of that
Mm-hmm.
in your characters. And yeah, so that yeah, that felt very personal, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Good. I mean,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I get that. Yeah, it is good. It is good. I mean,
yeah.
it's especially with something like grief, to see other people going through it.
Right.
whether it's the same or different, I think is important. So
Yeah. Good, I mean, because of course you want
yeah,
readers to connect and relate with your characters.
right,
Hmm.
right. Yeah. And yeah, it is good. So um was there or were there characters that in that specific book that you resonated with?
Yes, I originally, and I have really, I'm blessed with really wonderful, diverse groups of girlfriends in my life and different from different uh, periods of my life and very diverse personalities. So I really wanted them to be such different people, different personalities.
Yeah.
Um, and I, like I said, I didn't want them to resemble me. And
Hmm.
so at first they didn't resemble me at all, but I really started, and I might take characteristics of people I knew here and there,
Hmm.
but by the end, I could really relate to all of them.
Yeah. I liked Rashika. I'm assuming you knew about her job based on your past.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of cool, you know,
Yes, that's true.
stuck that in
And
there.
the funny thing is, I feel like she might be the personality that is most different from me, but she was definitely the most fun to write.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I've noticed that as well. The people who, yeah, I have a hard time writing people that are, you know, bad guys
Mm-hmm.
and just have evil intent or that kind of thing. And but they're fun to write. I've noticed just because
Mm-hmm.
they are so completely different from anything I've done before. And
Mm-hmm. Well,
so
and so Rishika, she at first seems, she can seem a little abrasive and distant, but as you get to know her, she she's very heartfelt
mhm.
and
She just keeps it all close.
yeah, and but she's bold, and so she says the damnedest things, and that's what made her fun,
Yeah.
really fun to write.
Yeah.
And then, but at the end, when you just get little little pieces of her affection, it makes it mean more
Right.
coming from her.
Yeah. I yeah, I like that. So one of the big discussions we had in our group was why the heck did Anna choose her Rishika? How do you
Um,
how do you say
well,
her name?
you can say it Rishika or Rishika.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
Rishika.
I have a
So
friend that, yeah, I pronounce it Rishika, but I was kind of going more because Anna calls her Rish. That's her nickname for her, Rish. So either way,
okay,
Rishika or Rishika. Yeah.
okay. So why did Anna choose her to? Well, I guess Anna and her husband to
Mm-hmm.
choose Rishika for their children if something
Mm-hmm.
happened to the husband.
Right. Well, so Anna and Rishika have been friends since birth. And so they're really like sisters.
Yeah.
And they're so different from each other. So she does have a conversation with, for lack of a better word, her spirit.
Yeah.
Um, and she asks her that because Rishika is really struggling. Like, I don't have a maternal bone in my body. Why?
Why would you
We've
do
got all
that?
these
Yeah.
friends that are these super moms. Why would you pick me? And they're wondering the same thing.
Right.
And, Anna, and she writes them, there's a letter that Anna
Yeah.
writes
At
to
the
the
end.
friends at the
Yeah.
end. And she says that Rishika is kind of all the things that that Anna isn't, and she's strong, and she would choose Rishika to be her plan B for anything
Oh,
because she just trusts her, and Rishika has always had her back.
yeah.
Um, and she's a strong woman, and she wants her girls to have that in their life. And she also, and Rishika hasn't, another reason this was a shocking decision was because Rishika never really took time
Hmm.
to get to know those
To
little
get to know
girls.
them. Yeah.
And even though they're almost like nieces to her. And Anna says, this is my way of making sure
Kind
you
of
guys
making
get
that
to know each
happen.
other.
Yeah.
Like, it's important to me that you're all important to each other.
Yeah.
And also you need them in your life
Right. They
because
need you, but
the,
you need them.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're my mini me's. And when you miss me, be with them because
Yeah.
they're so much like me.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Mhm.
liked that. And I liked that Rashika saw Anna when she was, and had conversations with her. Because I have known people who that's their way of grieving. And they have seen
Mhm.
their person and had conversations with their person and until they didn't need them. I That's not the right way to say it. But they were there
Yeah.
for quite some
Until
time.
maybe they've healed a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't know that you ever get over it, but I do
Right.
think that you heal and um, are able to view the world differently. So,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah. So I like that. So tell me about, so you didn't go to Mykonos, which I love. But tell me your experience in Greece. Because what was the island you went to?
Kepalonia.
Okay. And so tell me
Mhm.
about that because I've only
Yeah,
been
it's
to
it's a
Athens and
I believe it's a smaller island. Um, it's not very, I mean, and this was, gosh, how many years ago? This was in like 2000. No, this was in like 1998.
okay.
So who knows what it's like now, but it wasn't
Right.
very commercial. It wasn't very touristy.
Nice.
Um, I was there with Ashley, who was my sorority sister, and then we met another sorority sister there
Oh,
because
fun.
she was there with her family. She was Greek and was there with her family.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
Small world.
Um, well, we were on the beach. We ate really well. We went to bars at night. We danced on a few tables.
That's
And
fun.
it was the actually, just like in this story, it was the last destination on our trip. It was
Okay.
the tail end. So by then we'd done all the sightseeing. We were
Yeah.
just laying on a beach
Laying on
and
a beach felt pretty good by then.
yeah,
Yeah.
drinking those frappes and
Yeah.
eating wonderful Greek food.
Did um did it look like what you picture Mykonos to be?
No, I mean, I would say a little bit different. The country, the terrain, I guess, is probably similar in vegetation and
Right, right.
um it I don't recall that it had, the whitewashed buildings
Yeah, yeah.
synonymous with
With
Mykonos.
Greece. Yeah.
Yeah. Um but I did a lot of online research.
Sure, sure. Isn't that a beautiful
So
thing that we can do that?
it is.
Man, technology.
Yeah. And yeah, it is great because I literally found, okay, the names of the beaches on Mykonos. Which beach are they going to scatter her
Yeah,
ashes?
what they look
Yeah.
like. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Um, yeah, one of my questions was, did you actually take this trip? And you you talked about that and all of your travels. If you were to go back, where would you want to go?
I love Italy so much. Um,
Yeah.
and it was funny because I've always felt Italian at heart since that trip. And it was really funny because maybe like 10 years ago at the Thanksgiving table, my mom revealed her 23andMe findings. And she said, "Oh, we're a little bit Italian." And I was like, "I
Of
knew it.
course.
I knew it." So a little bit Greek. So yeah, it was
Okay.
exciting to discover that. But yes, I would love to spend more time in Italy, and I would like to. there's a cooking show I watch on like a public access channel
Hmm.
that's Greek.
Oh, fun.
And um, I'm really becoming more and more interested in Greece and that
Yeah.
culture. So
One of the
I'd
ladies
love to
in our
go there.
book club
And I would
is,
definitely love to go to Mykonos. In fact, I plan on a book two and a book three
oh, awesome.
following taking her to Mykonos.
Okay. That's one of the ladies who's in our book club. Her heritage is Greek. And so she has spent a lot of time in Greece and went last year for, I think, a couple of months and
Mm,
got to meet some of the relatives that go back a few, few generations or a
mhm.
few,
Yeah.
offshoots of whatever's. And um, so she enjoyed the Mykonos piece and
Mm.
could relate to some of the feel of it. And so that was fun. Yeah, that was a good one. Is there anywhere that you haven't been that you would like to go?
Oh, yes. And I just really love Europe. So I would
Mm.
want to go back, and even the countries I've been to, I just went to one or two cities.
Right.
Um, Austria was so gorgeous. I'd love to go there again.
Hmm.
Um, I haven't been to Ireland or Scotland.
Okay.
That would be beautiful.
I'm going to Scotland in about 10 days. So
Oh,
I'm
wow.
super excited.
Well, obviously you have to do some book research. You have to
I
write a book
do.
that's set there.
Yes, I have a whole series that's going to be set there
Oh,
and I
good.
cannot wait. Yeah,
Maybe you
that's
can write it off the
that's
trip.
at least parts of it. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. So, in your book, I don't know if this is a word, I put funnest. What was the funnest scene to write?
Yes. Um, I probably when they were in the yacht in Monte Carlo.
Okay,
Yeah, that was a blast.
nice. Okay.
Hmm.
That's
And there's a handful of scenes that I feel are very funny. I laughed at them when I wrote them. And
that's always
actually,
a good sign.
yesterday, I sat down just to skim to remind myself of everything.
Right?
And I chuckled during those scenes. So I really loved writing books that made the characters spit out their drink
Yeah,
or, just, cry from laughing so hard.
that's fun. What was the hardest scene to write?
Yes. Okay. So when they were on the boat from Athens to Mykonos and Catherine had her big meltdown,
Hmm.
I couldn't write that scene without crying whenever I
Yeah,
worked on it. That was the scene that made me the most emotional. And writing the letter from Anna to her friends.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's yeah. And Catherine's the one who had the guy in Italy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And,
That's
and she hadn't cried yet.
yeah.
So it wasn't until she saw Mykonos that
Things, yeah,
like she realized Anna's gone.
yeah, yeah. I
And
liked that
it was really surprising for her friends to witness that because she's a lawyer, she's very
she's got it
reasonable,
together.
very intelligent, and they've always known her to be those things. And so when they just saw her having that realization, Anna's not coming back, and it's
Yeah,
been a month and a half, and she had her meltdown, like they realized, okay, like okay, she gets it.
yeah, yeah. It's and again the timing for people to let it sink in and to accept it is always different. So
Mhm.
always a tricky one. So you had mentioned that you are self-published. How that experience, what about that experience do you think that readers don't know?
Mm. I mean, in most ways, I'm a one woman show. So things can slip through the cracks as much as I don't want them to. Like
Yeah.
I had I was putting little post-its on things I found yesterday that I will at some point go back and maybe clean up. Um, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But I love the empowerment of it.
Hmm.
Like these books happen because I believe the stories are worth telling, and it doesn't matter who else feels that way.
Right.
So you don't need permission to put your books out there. And
Yeah.
after being a writer for so long in the making, I just love that. I really love picking out book covers or I work with a wonderful cover art company,
Yeah.
and I tell them my vision, and then they create something
Magically. Yeah.
even more beautiful than I
Yeah.
pictured. Um, the very end is so hard, like just making sure you love every word. That's stressful. That I'm always
Mhm.
really stressed out at the very end.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's a level of having to accept that this is as good as it can get with my level of knowledge of writing. This is what I can do today, knowing that in 2 or 3 years I might have been able to write it better, but being okay with today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm probably okay with the whole, yeah, this is as good as I can write it right now. It's more, did I find all the mistakes? Like
Yeah.
I know what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
Did I say that without
Yeah, forgetting a word,
missing,
or yeah.
yeah, missing
Yeah.
a period or
Yeah.
just a
Thankfully
little
readers are
typo?
very gracious.
Yeah, and I think a lot of readers like myself, I get excited, especially when it's a traditionally published book. If I find something they missed, it's like a treasure hunt.
Yep.
So I think a lot of readers kind of enjoy that.
Hmm. Yeah. And I don't mind when people send me, hey, these are what I found, because I can go in and fix it and,
Hmm.
upload the new files and we're good to go, and
Mhm.
that's fine. Um, any of the screenplays that you have written in the past, will those be making their way into books?
Yes, they will.
Nice.
I do have. I'm working on like four things right now. When I'm in between books, it's so hard to decide what am I wholeheartedly committing to.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm in a place where I'm excited about like four things. So, yes, I do have one that it is a screenplay that I wrote. Yeah, maybe like 10 years ago, but
Okay.
I'm excited about it.
Nice. And is it,
It'll be more rom-com than
oh,
like deep women's fiction.
right, right. And where
I
is
mean,
that one
because
set at?
I was writing romantic comedies
Oh, how
in my
fun.
screenplays. So yeah, so it'll be a little
Okay.
different.
That's fun. Where's this potential new one set?
That one would be set in the LA area because
Nice.
it's in the screenwriting world.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Hmm.
That seems like it would be a fun area for a series.
Definitely. Yeah.
Rom-commers like series, so that would be
Mhm.
fun. So as we know, authors are readers first and foremost, and so I'm curious what you are reading right now.
Okay, I'm reading it's called The Sweeney Sisters by
Okay.
Leon Dolan. And I wish I had it. It's in the other room to show it to you. But this author, she lives in Pasadena, which is right next to my hometown
Yeah.
the in California.
Yeah.
And the first book she wrote is fantastic. It's called Helen of Pasadena, like a play on Helen of Troy.
Okay.
So
Fun.
yeah, she's great. This is the third book that I've read by her.
Nice. Okay. That's fun.
And
Very
I
good.
feel like the genres we write in are fairly close.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you part of a author group there in Oklahoma?
I'm not. I
Okay.
I want to do little, right, like I have found a few on Facebook, but I haven't gotten myself
Yeah.
to Starbucks or wherever they're having a meeting to
Right,
do that
right.
yet. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just writing is a solitary endeavor for the most part. And so just curious. It's always interesting how different authors handle that. So,
Mm-hmm. No,
yeah,
I would love that. I have two teenagers. Most of the time I feel like I'm more mom than author, which maybe is why
sure.
it
I mean,
takes me
that's
so
part of the
long
gig.
to
Yeah.
get these books out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
And then I actually have in the last few years started writing people's memoirs.
oh,
So very soon I'll be starting someone else's memoir.
okay.
Hmm.
Is it like a ghostwriting thing? Is that how that works? Or does it come out under your name or theirs?
Yes
Or,
and no. It's kind of like ghostwriting, but I do put my name on it.
okay.
Hmm.
Interesting. That would be really interesting.
So it's their point of view.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but I don't want it to be secret that I spent all this time
Well, sure. Yeah.
putting working on
Thank you very
this.
much.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, you're you're writing a memoir right now and potentially one of that rom-com.
I
Is that
I'm I'm about to start another memoir like next week.
okay?
Yeah.
Nice.
Hmm.
Very
Yeah.
good. Very
So
good.
yeah, it has been nice to like just focus on my fiction. I finished one in October. And so I've had this little bubble of just focusing on my fiction, which has been really nice.
That is nice. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's always good when you can do that. And your kids will be out of the house soon enough, so
In
enjoy while
like
they're
five
there.
in like 5 years, I know I'm dreading it.
Yeah, it's both of ours are gone and it's you never think you're going to get there and then you do. And
Yeah.
so
I mean, I guess I'll just write a lot more, which that will be great.
yeah,
But yeah, I
yeah.
don't look forward to that.
But it's nice because you'll have a base of books already, a library already that you've written during this busy time, and that's
Mhm.
pretty awesome.
Thank you.
So, thank you for joining us today. This was so much fun to talk to you.
My pleasure. Can I take a picture of us real
Absolutely.
quick? I'll try to get in there too. Thank you.
Yeah, I am so glad to have talked to you and look forward to seeing what new stuff comes down the pike for you. That'll be fun.
I appreciate it, Becky.
Have a great rest of your day, and I will tag you in anything that I put out about this. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.